The movie begins in the mystical Forbidden Valley, a Chinese forest steeped in ancient legends. Meng and his father, Ma Xiong, are hunting wild boars, cautiously navigating the dense terrain. Suddenly, the nearby trees rustle ominously. Unsure if it's human or animal, Ma Xiong calls out. Silence. Hoping it might be a lost traveler or hunter, he shouts again. Still no response. Tension builds as Ma Xiong raises his bow, firing an arrow toward the noise. A thunderous growl erupts in response, shaking the forest. From the shadows, a massive creature charges toward them. Panicked, the two scatter. Meng leaps off a nearby cliff, landing in a rushing stream. Ma Xiong desperately tries to reach him, but the beast's deafening roars close in. Meanwhile, in another part of China, young Xiao sits in his room, playing with his toys as his father, Hubo, interviews English teacher. Xiao, curious, sneaks downstairs to listen. Hubo explains that his wife passed away a year ago, and since then, balancing Xiao's emotional and educational needs has been overwhelming. He insists Xiao needs constant attention and practice, calling him down to meet Denise. Xiao reluctantly speaks a few broken sentences in English, his frustration evident. Denise senses the challenge ahead as Xiao storms back to his room, slamming the door. Embarrassed, Hubo apologizes, but Denise reassures him it's no issue. Hubo confides that he's starting a new job in another city and wants Denise to move with Xiao to help him adjust to a new school. Though hesitant about the sudden request, especially with the move scheduled for the next day, Denise agrees. Xiao, however, is visibly displeased. Elsewhere, Duke Darwin, a notorious hunter, oversees illegal wildlife trades deep in Chinese territory. His crew traffics animal pelts and horns, finding buyers willing to ignore their ruthless methods. But Duke has his sights set higher. The legendary Yeren, a mythical primate said to dwell in the caves of the Forbidden Valley. The client initially dismisses Duke's proposal, likening the Yeren to fictional creatures like Bigfoot or the abominable snowman. But Duke is relentless, presenting increasing reports from scientists and villagers. Intrigued but skeptical, the client offers $2 million, on the condition that Duke captures the Yeren alive. The next day, Denise and Xiao arrive at the airport. Xiao's mood worsens, his attention glued to his phone. Denise attempts to break the silence, asking if he's flown before. Xiao shrugs, claiming his experience with flight simulator games makes him an expert. Amused, Denise chuckles and gently disagrees. As they board, the flight fills with passengers, including energy consultant Joshua Ridley and his partner, Pagan. Joshua notices Denise and flirts, but she brushes him off. During the flight, Xiao reluctantly flips through his grammar book, his frustration still evident. Meanwhile, in a rural village near the Forbidden Valley, Meng recounts his encounter with the Yeren to Officer Chen. Suspicious, Chen presses Ma Xiong about the arrow, but Ma Xiong insists he doesn't remember. Frustrated, Meng's father steps in, admitting they were hunting wild boars and were armed that day. Back on the plane, Denise tries again to bond with Xiao, noticing a necklace around his neck. Xiao snaps that it's personal, but eventually reveals it belonged to his late mother. He shares how other kids mock him for wearing it. Denise reassures him, saying their opinions don't matter, and Xiao begins to warm to her. Next to Xiao, an elderly passenger named Feng reads a newspaper with a headline about Yeren sightings. Intrigued, Xiao listens as Feng shares childhood stories of growing up near the Forbidden Valley and hearing tales of the mysterious creature. However, when Xiao presses for details, Feng claims his memory is too hazy. Joshua overhears and scoffs at the superstition, but the mood shifts when the plane suddenly hits severe turbulence. Flames erupt in one of the engines, and moments later, the aircraft crashes into the Forbidden Valley. Although the wreckage is catastrophic, the passengers survive. Chaos ensues as Joshua races to extinguish a fire near the debris, leaving Xiao unattended by a tree. Unbeknownst to him, a shadowy figure watches from the underbrush. As Denise and Feng escape the wreckage, they realize Xiao is missing. Panic-stricken, Denise begins searching for him. Joshua, dismissive, suggests waiting for a rescue helicopter, only to discover there's no signal. Meanwhile, Pa starts looting the wreckage. Horrified, Denise stumbles upon one of Xiao's sneakers near the edge of the forest. Back in the city, Hubo waits anxiously at his factory for news of Xiao's safe arrival, unaware of the unfolding danger. Hubo grows increasingly anxious, realizing Denise should have called hours ago. Meanwhile, Xiao wakes up in a cave, his knee freshly bandaged. The one who treated him is nowhere to be seen. Stumbling out of the cave, he reunites with Denise, and together they attempt to find a way out. Suddenly, a massive shadow looms over them. A bear emerges and attacks. Before the situation worsens, a towering reddish-furred primate, the Yeren, charges in to defend them. The bear is overpowered, but as Denise and Xiao try to escape, the Yeren blocks their path. Joshua arrives, wielding a branch, and strikes the creature, wounding it. The Yeren retreats, but Xiao, filled with guilt, follows and helps remove the branch from its back. Before the Yeren can react, Denise calls for Xiao, prompting the creature to flee into the forest. Elsewhere, Duke Darwin and his team arrive at Meng's home, posing as researchers. Congratulating Meng on his discovery, they coax him into sharing his tale. While Meng eagerly recounts the encounter with the Yeren, his father, Ma Xiong, remains skeptical, dismissing the creature as nothing more than a bear. Duke listens intently, but Meng's story begins to diverge. He denies firing the arrow and insists he jumped into the river to save his father, not the other way around. Duke's real interest lies in one thing: a route to the Forbidden Valley. When Meng points it out on a map, Ma Xiong interrupts, demanding the foreigners leave. Duke offers a hefty bribe, but Ma Xiong refuses, calling it blood money. Pretending to give up, Duke slowly walks away, whispering to his associate to count to 3. As predicted, Meng chases after them, agreeing to meet by the river the next morning to guide them into the valley. At dawn, Meng meets Duke and his crew as promised. As they climb toward the Forbidden Valley, the altitude takes a toll on Duke's team, though Meng seems unfazed. Duke demands to be led to a cave known as the Yin's Lair, rumored to be the Yeren's home. Back at the crash site, Denise and Joshua spot a rescue plane flying overhead. They desperately try to signal it, but the aircraft disappears. This sparks another argument. Joshua wants to stay near the wreckage, believing rescue is imminent, while Denise insists on following the river to escape. Phone, a frail survivor, is too weak to decide, so the group reluctantly follows Denise's lead. Meanwhile, Duke's expedition faces its own perils. During their trek, Duke narrowly escapes an attack by a venomous albino salamander. Exhausted and increasingly paranoid, the group decides to make camp when Phone collapses, unable to continue. While gathering materials for shelter, Joshua spots the Yeren in the distance and immediately warns Denise, convinced they're being followed. Xiao, however, believes the Yeren is watching over them as a protector, though Joshua remains skeptical. Back in civilization, Ma Xiong's father alerts Officer Chen about his son's involvement with a suspicious group. Realizing this group is likely Duke Darwin's crew, Chen joins Xiong's father in a desperate search for them. Meanwhile, deep in the valley, danger looms as Xiao is attacked by a wild boar. Just in time, Duke Darwin shoots the animal, marking the survivors' first encounter with his group. While Joshua is initially charmed by Duke's confident demeanor, Denise is more cautious. Her instincts prove correct when Xiao inadvertently mentions the Yeren, arousing Duke's interest. Sensing trouble, Denise swiftly redirects the conversation, but Duke grows suspicious, determined to uncover their secret. Duke takes Xiao aside, pressing him for information about strange animals in the valley. Xiao nervously defends the Yeren, which only strengthens Duke's resolve to capture the creature. Phone investigates Duke's gear and discovers tranquilizer darts meant for the Yeren. Outraged, Phone confronts Duke, but collapses from exhaustion. Duke seizes the opportunity, claiming Phone needs medical attention while continuing his twisted narrative that capturing the Yeren is the group's only chance for survival. Later, Joshua, Denise, and Ma Xiong are tied to a tree as Duke drags Xiao into the woods to use him as bait. The plan works, the Yeren appears. Duke signals his men to move in, but chaos ensues when Xiao escapes and warns the Yeren of the danger. Refusing to abandon Xiao, the Yeren battles Duke's men. Though hit by a tranquilizer dart, the creature fights back. The next day, Duke captures the Yeren alive. Officer Chun and Ma Xiong's father, who have been tracking them, observe from a distance. Joshua, pretending to align with Duke, fakes a phone call to a millionaire interested in buying the Yeren. Duke quickly realizes the bluff, and tensions erupt. Suddenly, Officer Chun fires a warning shot, throwing the scene into chaos. The Yeren, now free, charges at its captors. In a final confrontation, Duke pleads for mercy, but the Yeren, as intelligent as it is fierce, refuses to be deceived. With one powerful move, the creature throws Duke off a cliff, ending his reign of terror. As the dust settles, the Yeren silently bids farewell to Xiao, retreating into the forest to resume its role as the valley's guardian. The survivors are left to reflect on the creature's true nature, not as a monster, but as a protector of its home. Thank you for watching.